Bing, bang, boom. The news is huge and we don't have a lot of time to do it. So let's cut the garbage and just get to a show that we like to call...
Oh, I think I win that lotto.
Hello, my name is Merrick Alam, and tonight the executive editor of Teen Vogue, Samita Mukhopadhyay, is coming to Alma at 7 p.m. in SAC 113 to give a talk on intersectionality, gender, race, and politics. Tomorrow at 7:30 in the afternoon at Highland Blush, Professor Kahns is presenting the Coffee House Conference on Dance in Academia. So if movement is your specialty, make it a point to waltz on down. And later that night, there will be Safe Zone training at 9 p.m. in the large CSO conference room. So if you're looking to increase your ability to support a peer, make sure to RSVP as soon as you can. As for sports this week, the women's lacrosse team has a game at home versus Adrian tonight at 7. Softball is facing off against Calvin tomorrow in Scotts Park at 3:30 p.m. This Saturday, the women's lacrosse is going head-to-head with St. Mary's at 1 o'clock on Balky Field, and the men and women's tennis teams are both going up against Olivet at 1 p.m. in the tennis courts. And as for Almedia in the news, since we are the news, speaking of news, we are proud to announce a brand news comedy podcast bankrolled off of our non-existent budget. To be clear, it's not a news comedy podcast, it's just comedy, it's a comedy podcast. The podcast focuses on pitching hypothetical movie scripts to stuffy producers with insanely out-of-touch demands, but talking about podcasts is kind of like painting about Van Gogh, so check out a highlight instead.
Dating thing is kind of crazy. We all know it's Tinder, it's Bumble, it's Crumbled Cake.
Okay.
And we need Gilbert's profiles on all of these. And tell me,
Yeah.
how are these young college coming up students in the 80s
Yeah.
in present time telling us how we're gonna get Gilbert Gottfried to fall in love? We need Gilbert Gottfried to fall in love.
I just have a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure.
And all of them revolve around the fact that so you want us to write in social media or dating profiles, online social dating profile websites into a movie that's set in the 80s.
Now, Gilbert can be a time traveler.
No,
All
Gilbert
right, listen,
can be.
I don't want to hear from you, okay? You get to
I'm
pitch your
trying to
ideas
help you
later.
out.
If that seems like something up your alley or not, go ahead and check out the full first episode of Critical Pitch on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Please, we need some way to recoup the money we spent on hosting it because, again, we do not have any. We're not an official club. We get no budget from anyone. Speaking of not having any money, that's how many people end up after AlmaCon sweeps through the campuses and clears them out of all the cash that they've been saving. Speaking of AlmaCon, our documentary is still going pretty strong, and we will have more updates for you in the coming weeks. Okay, now, in real, actual news, like national news, the Mueller report has come in pretty hot, and people are, as is the case for seemingly the past 4 years, incredibly divided. So you see, Attorney General William Barr released a summary of the report the other day, and that's all. There's no full report yet. So a summary that many people say news outlets have been taking snippets of, truncating, simplifying, reducing until the original context of it is lost. Some people are arguing that the out-of-context highlights from the summary are enough to vindicate and prove Trump's innocence. Others are saying that only the full report in all of its detail and nuance is all we can really give actual validity to. Even though the White House is releasing the full report later, it seems redactions throughout are always a worrying possibility. Yesterday, European officials voted in favor of Article 13 as part of changes being made to online copyright law in Europe. Article 13 will make online platforms legally responsible, more so than they already are, for any and all copyrighted content that they post. This, in theory, is supposed to help bring money back into the hands of content distributors such as movie or music studios. However, skeptics believe that this will actually be taking money out of the hands of fair use cases and creators or smaller companies by just creating filters that ban all copyrighted content. Hence the nickname, the Meme Ban. If you want to stay up to date with all of our brand new content in the pipeline, such as our podcasts, our documentaries, media online, make sure to subscribe right here on YouTube. And for including some platform exclusive clips and updates, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Team Almedia, where we'll be periodically posting popping and pernicious podcast highlights.